Okay, now let's get into Luigi Mangione, who we got the latest on him, and it looks like that he hired Diddy, the wife of Diddy's attorney, for his upcoming trial, which I hope they go to trial because I'm like, try to find somebody who hasn't been affected by the health industry in America who's not going to side with this kid. Unless we have like a situation where we get some people on the panel that was like Vicki Lawrence character in Monsters, the Lala Eric Menendez story, where she was painting this horrible picture of them to the point where she had a damn heart attack during the jury case, and they had to put an alternate in her place because she had to be rushed to the hospital, which I cackled off of that scene. So, as a prominent attorney who once served as a Manhattan Chief Assistant District Attorney, will represent Luigi Mangione as he faces murder charges in New York for the shooting death of United Healthcare CEO Ryan Thompson. Karen Friedman Agnifilo is currently working at Agnifilo in Trader, which specializes in complex and sensitive criminal matters, according to his website. Now, shout out to NPR for the story. The law group confirmed on Saturday that Mangione retained Friedman Agnifilo, adding that she will not be making any statements at this time. And you should not, because that last person that y'all had that was running around there that literally looked like Joe Pesci from My Cousin Vinny, that attorney that he had before, that I guess was talking to CNN or whatever, and that CNN reporter was trying to goop him into talking about what was going on in regards to his trial. Well, has he told you anything about? I said, child, first of all, that's attorney-client privilege. You really think that he's going to go against what he learned in law school to go give you an exclusive? Now, there's a lot of criminals running around here that's doing all kinds of things for attention and whatever on social media that we've been seeing. I don't know if we need to mention some of them. Some of them was part of the Trump administration and in other situations where they want to go in and break the law, they bend it to their whatever their needs or their will. And I just feel like I'm glad that she's taking the step. It's like, no, it's none of your business. You're just going to wait and see what we do. Now, this is a complex and sensitive criminal matter. The one thing that's been getting on my nerves is how media has been covering this. I think we were talking about the New York Times refuses to show his face. Um, so we're not just going to talk about like the disparities of how most Americans are feeling right now in regards to the healthcare system and the fact that United Healthcare is denying people or paying, helping to pay for things that people need. I just heard a recent story that came out where they're denying autistic children the care that they need. There was a autistic kid who was denied help from United Healthcare. So they're still out here doing the dirty things. So when you get these dumbasses like Sarah Haynes and talking about, oh, there is another way that we can go with that from The View, them clucking hens over there. I'm about sick of them. First of all, they need to take that damn show off. I'm really at this point where, you know what, they need to cancel The View because a lot of them don't know what the hell they're talking about, specifically Whoopi. And no shade, but I'm gonna tell y'all something. I do believe that the reason why Annie is not doing well is because Whoopi's a part of it. One of my coworkers said she's terrible up there as Miss Hannigan. Another person was saying, like, you know what? I think a lot of times, during the week, the parents are not having a way to take them to go see this play. But also, it's like, I do think that because of what they're saying over there at The View, it is hurting them, this show. I do think that she is a problem with being a part of that. But that's a whole that y'all wanted to cancel for that. That's what y'all going to have to deal with. But a lot of them, I'm noticing what they're talking about over there, they don't know what they're talking about. And I feel like because of these companies, these corporations that rain down, or they're worried about being sued, or whatever the case was, that nobody really wants to go in and have these conversations. The real enemy here is United Healthcare. And the fact that they're killing, there's well, the father died, and now he's not, going to be able to spend time with their children on Christmas. Yeah, we're aware of that. We know killing is bad. Murder is bad. I think we all learned that when we come out of our parents' cootie cat. Or if your mama had a C-section out of her, the lower part of her stomach, depending on how you was born. Not everybody can do a vaginal birth. But we know the conversation of like, when you have a child and you come into the world and people teach you the difference between right and wrong, that murder is a bad thing. First of all, it says in the Ten Commandments, as somebody who grew up Catholic, thou shalt not kill. Shouldn't those rules apply to those people that sit over there in suit and ties, acting like the damn mob, the middleman in between the doctor and the insurance companies jumping in and saying that we don't want to pay all of this money. We don't want to pay to take care of people who have pre-consisting or non-pre-consisting issues or health issues in this country. Why are we the only country in America where we're supposed to have all this money and we're the biggest country in the free, the freest country, land of the free, home of the brave, and all this other stuff, but we have the shittiest goddamn healthcare. But when you go to other places, they have universal healthcare. They don't have the issues that we have. Even in underdeveloped countries, they have better healthcare than us. So why is it a problem here? Oh, because we have to continue to profit off of people. How many bodies have died? How much blood does someone like United Health have on them regarding how much care that they've denied to people in this country? But we can't have that conversation. We know that death, us having this conversation does not mean that we're condoning what Luigi did. However, and there should always be a but in after you say, I think killing is bad. Killing is wrong. I feel like I'm in a South Park episode. Killing is bad. Okay. Like, we know that killing is a bad thing. But, I understand why he did what he did. And yes, just because he comes from money, just because his family is wealthy, doesn't mean that wealthy people do not deal with the same disparities regarding the healthcare system that those of us who are non-wealthy. So it's the corporate greed behind places like United Healthcare that we need to look into. They need to be taken out completely. I'm talking about as a corporation. They should not have a hand in this whole situation. There should be healthcare for all in this country. Why is it? And then people, well, Obamacare was a great. No, it wasn't. It's a small little band-aid that I put on the situation. Obamacare is not the greatest little thing. It's a little something. But it's not a lot of things. It's something, not all the things, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to find an interesting way to put a spin on that. But it's like, it's a little something. It's not the greatest, but it's at least we got something, right? And we shouldn't be in a situation where, well, at least you got a little something. No, people should be able to have especially if it's like cancer. Cancer is the worst thing you possibly get, and then these things are not going to cover that. United Healthcare is a cancer on this country. It really is, and on our healthcare system. So why can't we have that conversation? So we know that murder is bad. So all them idiots up there sitting up there talking about this, especially Sarah Haynes, who was sitting up there talking about, well, I could understand why people did what they did, but this bitch had the nerve, the absolute unlitigated gall to have to read it off a goddamn card. You can watch the episode. It's all over the internet. When they talked about it during the Hot Topics, if y'all watch the show. You had to read something off a card, be able to empathize with people. So it's like, bitch, you don't relate to none of us. None of y'all do. The only one up there that I felt that was close enough to being able to understand where we were coming from with this was Sunny Hostin. Number one, her husband is a doctor. I believe a surgeon. So he understands how the medical industry works. Number two, she's a woman of color who had to pull herself up by the bootstraps to get where she is, coming up from the Bronx. That's sort of, and that is some of her policies and things she talks about I don't agree with, but I could definitely see like she will understand. I remember when I was talking about this whole thing about Whoopi Goldberg and Anna Navarro getting into it over this thing about Trump and I posted a clip on TikTok. I had somebody in the comments who was like, something in regard because of what was it? Anna said something about that we come from a place of privilege, so we can't relate to certain things when they was talking about in that conversation. And somebody tried to say, oh well, black women, what kind of what kind of a situation can they get from a place of privilege? Where I said, Whoopi ain't no typical regular black woman. She's not Keisha from around the way. Whoopi Goldberg is somebody who has been in the industry for 4 decades that has made a shit ton of money and is a part of the 1%. Yes, she be bitching and moaning about paying her damn taxes, but she don't relate to how the rest of us is working out in the real world. And when they was talking about this whole thing regarding Luigi and money and the system and the whole thing about healthcare and stuff, she couldn't relate. She didn't know what the hell she was talking about. I don't know what kind of strain of weed she's on, but she need to get up off it. Oh, I don't know if that Mangione is affecting her damn brain But she need to get off that too. So I feel like if we're gonna have these conversations about this whole thing, we should be able to have a nuanced conversation to talk about both sides. Yes, we know murder is bad. Yes, we know it's wrong for him to have taken that thing. But sometimes violence is the only answer that we have. So when she up there talking about we're not a country that where you go around doing violent things, it's like, yes the fuck we are. This whole country was built on violence. The massacre of Native Americans, indigenous people, you want to call it that. So you're not going to sit up here and try to act like this country wasn't built on violence. This country was stolen based off of the genocide of indigenous people. So we're going to go there, white woman. We need to have that conversation. Yeah, it didn't affect you because your cracker ass is not being affected by all of this. Yeah, when people say this shit, it gets on my goddamn nerves. So when it's like, when you're a white person, you cannot relate to having to deal with these things, I'm going ham in regards to that conversation. So yeah, you're not going to sit up here and say, well, we're better at this. Okay, Karen, are we? Because last time I checked, the White House in this country was not only, well, I was going to say the White House, and it was built by slaves. And then you have indigenous people who were murdered, massacred, so you can still lay land. So we're going to sit up here and act like we're better than this, are we? Because we're not. The very foundation of this country is based off of colonization and genocide. So if we're going to have this conversation, we're going to have it. That's why I'm so glad I'm not part of corporate media, because the funny thing was, if I was up in there in that corporate media world and I was saying all of this, I'd probably get fired. Which I'd be like, that's fine. I'll just go to independent. I'll just go the independent route and have to probably ask y'all to tip me some money because that'd be the only way I'd be able to pay my bills. But for the most part, it's like, yeah, you're not going to have me up in that corporate matrix of me spreading lies and misinformation and reading shit off a damn cue card just so that way I have to constantly worry about, well, I might get fired today because some Zionist or somebody up top that doesn't agree with what I'm saying, and they're worrying about losing their Metamucil ads, and this one getting pulled and that getting pulled, and I can't say have a real conversation that people want to hear. So you're sitting there spreading these lies to people on your networks, and how it irritated me how shows like The View, the New York Times, all these other places are going up here making Luigi into this disgusting human and trying to desecrate his character, bring up his family's past and all that other stuff to be like, well, he could have just taken his, money or whatever the case was and built a situation where he could have helped people. This is the dumb shit Sarah said. And I'm like, really? And it was like, well, like his grandfather. But how many years ago was that his grandfather built these things to help the nursing homes and all the other stuff? That was probably like 40, 50, maybe 60 years ago. So we're going to have a conversation about maybe how the world was different 60 years ago plus now. Like I've talked about, like when people want to buy a home. Back when my parents first bought a home that I grew up in, it was like $30,000 that you needed to be able to buy a house. That was already, my mother told me, was in foreclosure. So you bought the house, it was cheap, and you just put in money to fix it up. You want to know how much a house costs now? It's not going to be $30,000. You have to have $500,000 to be able to buy a house now, especially in New York City. Or New York, I should say, not New York City, because there's barely any houses in the city. There's fucking buildings that they continue to build that people can't even afford to live in because your studio apartment is $3,500. So we're going to have the conversations like, realistically, yeah, we're all going to save up our money and be able to build this thing and help make the world a better place. Well, sis, we live in the real world, not the Matrix. So I don't know what honky-dory, howdy-doody, type of planet you live on, sis, but this is not Andy Griffith. Like, we don't live in that world. I live in the real world. And people can barely pay to buy groceries, which we're not even going to get into about how Trump said that he able to bring the grocery prices down. Now he went and backtracked now that he's president and said, I can't do that. Like, I can't bring and people are pissed. I'm like, so you really thought he was going to bring down the price of eggs? And the reason why the egg prices was so damn high was because of E. coli. It had nothing to do with the fact of Joe Biden raised the prices on eggs. When people actually did their research on Google and things of that nature, they would know these things. or really read into certain situations. So I feel like I just went on this whole tangent on all this other stuff because I was reading something and I was like, let me see if I can find it. I hope so there was somebody, yeah, why things are so damn expensive. So it's like, yeah, four meat packing companies control approximately 85% of the US meat market. Tyson Foods, JBS, I think it's Cargill, and National Beef. Four airlines control 80% of air travel. These companies are American, Delta, Southwest, and United. Three companies control 92% of the soft drink market: Coca-Cola Company, PepsiCo Inc., and Keurig Dr. Pepper Inc. Why don't we hear about it? Because six media companies control 90% of the news: GE/Comcast, News Corp, Disney, Viacom, Time Warner, and CBS. So, yeah, you're not going to get the real tea from things because you have small conglomerates who swallow up all of the things. So, yeah, this is why at some point we have to do mainstream media. People aren't tuning into mainstream media. A lot of us independent people have to go on social media and give y'all the information. And I always try to come on and think of myself, I'm not a journalist. I didn't go to journalism school. However, I've always thought about, what? I really feel like critical thinking is a dying thing and people really need to get the right information out there. So I always try to make my due diligence to bring y'all the stuff. So we don't even need to go into why he, what was the charges and all this stuff. But I will say this: he is Luigi is scheduled to appear in a preliminary hearing in Pennsylvania on December 23rd regarding the charges related to a 3D printed gun and fake ID. So he's also currently being held without bail and also. But I did hear that people was talking about they wanted to pay his bail. There were people outside chanting "Free Luigi" outside of the prison where I think he's being held. And because I saw Newsmax posted something or another like that on social media. So they also said two other attorneys from Agnafilo and Trader are representing Diddy in the criminal case against him, where he was charged with, the stuff he was charged with. So yeah, that's the information on that right now. And I should also point out, just to wrap this up, is that for 7 years, she was the second in command at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. She worked under Cyrus Vance Jr., who was known for going after former film producer Harvey Weinstein, as well as Donald Trump. So this should be an interesting trial. And like I said, if they take this to trial, it's going to be real hard trying to find somebody that isn't going to be this, Team Luigi on this. Because it's like, yeah, we know, like I said a million times already, and I'm tired of having to drive this home, but apparently we have to, because people always try to take words and twist them. We are not condoning murder. Murder is never the answer for things, but sometimes I understand you got to take drastic measures in order to wake people the hell up. And it's funny how on The View, this goes to show they live in this damn bubble. They were like, oh, it's not going to change anything. Really? Because I've been seeing all over New York City, they've been putting up wanted ads for a lot of CEOs. So, and I don't condone that. I do think it's wrong when y'all sitting them here like this one's next, that one's next, and then they locked up some woman that put up the code or whatever the hell that thing was, and they got her in jail over her over a threat. She didn't even do it. So now we doing Minority Report stuff to people. We predicted murders before they happen. So that's what they did with that. And I was like, she should be able to get out and sue, because I don't know how you hold somebody without bail and arresting them over because she was done dirty by her insurance company and she did the deny depose thing, and now they want to lock her up because of that. It's like, y'all can't be out here locking people over a threat. She didn't commit the crime. When the people commit the crime, they get locked their ass up. Not, you don't try to do it because we got a leg over and y'all was left dumb. And there's another thing too, like there's something that there's a lot of slippery stuff in here that don't make sense to me. So they found a DNA all over the place, but you couldn't find a damn man until somebody snitched on him at the McDonald's. And I am cackling over the fact that that person that snitched ended up getting fired, and you ain't get your damn money. So that's what you get for being a snitching ass bitch. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? Because I know it was a lot. But you can't just do this story in like a little 5-second TikTok clip And this thing, you're going to get all the nuance and all the things that you need to get in regards to the topic. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.